Namaste, I am Avnish from India. I belong to the state of Bihar, and welcome to Spotlight, our podcast series under Nalanda Dialogues. So, the country in Spotlight today is a very beautiful country from Africa, Uganda. So, we will discuss more about the finer details about the different aspects of Uganda in our discussion shortly. And 1962, Uganda got its independence. And interestingly, around 32,000 laborers from India were transported to Uganda to construct the Ugandan railway during colonial times. So India and Uganda, they have a lot in common, and we will discuss all these details in our podcast. So to throw more light on the different aspects of Uganda, we have Annette and Charles with us, our two very good friends from Uganda. So Annette and Charles, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Baya. Thank you, Baya.
So shall we start off with our
sure.
discussion?
Yeah, sure.
Please tell us about one place in Uganda which is your favorite and you would like our audience to visit.
Yes, whoever is watching, one of the famous places I would recommend for everyone who travels to Uganda to visit is Bwindi Impenetrable National Park. You can imagine it is called impenetrable.
Wow.
So it is rich in diversity. It has a lot of biodiversity, plants and animals.
Wow.
Yeah, so I recommend it for the audience. Whoever is trying to visit Uganda, that is the famous place. You should ask first, then visit that place. You will enjoy it.
Wow. I like your conviction and energy when you are saying, like, you are so clear that this is the place that people must visit when
Yes.
they are in Uganda the next time. What does the word Uganda mean, if you could please tell us?
Yeah, Uganda, as you can hear the name, is a country that actually derives its name from a kingdom that existed. Actually, it is still existing. The kingdom is called Uganda. So the name is Uganda, that's the country. So when you remove the word B, it becomes Uganda. But when you add the word B before Uganda, it becomes Buganda. So this kingdom, before the country got its name Uganda, actually there existed kingdoms. Okay? So one of the powerful kingdoms was called Buganda.
Okay.
It was so powerful that when the explorers, those from the British, Uganda was colonized by Britain. So when these explorers came from Britain, so they actually saw this as the powerful kingdom with good leadership. So for them, they thought it could maybe make sense if they called the whole country maybe Uganda, but then they removed the B,
Okay.
and then they called it Uganda.
Uganda.
So that's how it actually acquires its name to be called Uganda. But it originates from a great
Uganda.
kingdom, Buganda. The kingdom is actually still existing. It is where the capital city of Uganda, called Kampala. That's where the capital city is. So it is in the center, or I can say in the heart of the country, this kingdom. It is the most famous. And the language that most people in the country speak, moreover, is called Luganda.
Wow.
So the country is Uganda. This famous kingdom is Buganda. And the language is Luganda.
Wow.
So many people in the country actually know this language. But you see, there are many languages in the country. Actually, you can talk of over 50 tribes. Each tribe has a language.
Wow.
But even these other tribes, most people in those other tribes, apart from the Baganda people, know the language Luganda.
Wow.
You can imagine that. So it's interesting and amazing to know that.
So that's so deep. The word Uganda is related to an historical kingdom, Buganda, and the language Luganda.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that many people would not be aware of this interlinkage.
Yeah.
And that is why we are having this series of podcasts, so that people come to know about such rich cultural heritages of developing countries across the world. Thank you so much for that. Uganda is a very young country. According to some estimates, around 75-78% of its citizens are below the age of 35.
That's very true.
So, and that can be a huge resource and a huge source of strength for any country. So, if you could please tell us about the youths of Uganda, what are their aspirations, please.
Yes, one of them I'm here because
Yeah.
he's also the youth, I'm the youth.
Exactly.
So we are representing the youth in
Yeah.
Uganda. Yeah, most of the aspiration, the youth are involved in many activities. Like we know now, we are saying the future is in our hands.
Yeah.
So many activities happening in the country involve the youth. One, we have to talk about most of them now they're getting involved in education because education we believe is a key to success.
True.
Yes, you cannot have success if you're not educated. Yeah, so they have to attain some knowledge to be able to achieve their goals.
Nice.
Other than that, we have music industry that is growing at a high rate.
Wow.
And most of the youth are highly involved in this industry. So they are singing, they have comedies, they have many things. So in case of anybody maybe from outside Uganda is coming to Uganda, they really enjoy it because we have different theaters in different parts of the country. So other than that, also we have sports that is growing at a high rate. Yeah, we have soccer teams. You think you have seen Uganda Cranes and the She Cranes. The way they have represented the country at continental level, even at the international level.
Nice.
So all these are the different aspirations for the youth. And but to mention, but if you, I think there are many aspirations.
Yeah.
Yes.
Great. I mean, the popularity of music industry, as you said, that is really very gladdening. That it is not just a source of entertainment.
Very true.
So it is a native indigenous music industry is also about our identity,
Sure.
not just entertainment or
because-
profession.
Yes, if you watch the Ugandan music, most of it is educative.
True.
Yeah, it is educative. It communicates message to the people. It's not all about leisure enjoyment, no. It's
Exactly.
all about educating the people about something or the culture.
Yeah.
Yes.
Very true. Any talk about Africa is incomplete without a discussion on Lake Victoria.
Yeah.
So it is not just a lake. During our research, we came across many interesting things. That one lake which is surrounded by many countries, it is a
Yes.
source of livelihood for lots of people.
Sure.
So Lake Victoria is the largest lake in Africa
Yeah.
and the second largest freshwater lake in the world.
Yes.
So, have you got a chance to visit this lake? If you could please tell us more about it.
Obviously, I've visited this lake.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, this lake is, as you've mentioned, the second largest in the world, second largest freshwater lake. So, where is it located? Look, Uganda is here. So, there are 3 countries that are neighboring Uganda.
Mm-hmm.
Uganda is here. On its eastern side, there is Kenya. Then, on the southern part of the Uganda, there is Tanzania. So, these 3 countries, Uganda, Kenya, Tanzania, they share this water body.
Wow.
So, but the largest part of the lake is shared by Uganda, and this means it gets more of the benefits of the lake.
Yeah.
And you see its impact in the fisheries industry.
Exactly.
And according to research and data, it shows that Uganda is one of the top countries in Africa that exports and even gets a lot of foreign exchange from this industry, fisheries.
Wow.
So it shows the impact that the lake is bringing to the country. And Lake Victoria, it's important to know that it is the source of River Nile.
Oh.
People have heard about River Nile, and
Yeah.
The longest
it's
river.
the longest river in Africa. This river, its source is the Lake Victoria. That's where its waters starts from, and it moves northwards to Sudan, and then passes through Egypt, and then it pours its water to the sea. Now, that's important for us as a country to have such a lake with the longest river in Africa and second in the world. And this brings even more tourists to the country to see what is this lake, how does it look. Okay, so again, it brings foreign exchange through the tourism. Actually, these are the basic sectors. When we talk about the sectors that bring in the foreign exchange in the country, talk about tourism, talk about fisheries, agriculture. This, when you're talking about foreign exchange for Uganda, we mentioned these three: agriculture, tourism, and fisheries. That's where we are, bro. Yeah.
That's so true. And I would request our audience to please pause the video here and check how many points you knew about Lake Victoria, which is the second largest freshwater lake. So that will tell us about how aware we are about the developing countries across the world. One food item from Uganda that you would like our audience to try.
Wow, like I told you, Uganda is the power of Africa. So we have a number of food, variety of it. But now what I would recommend the audience, if you come to Uganda, please, just ask for Ugandan Rolex. It's called the Rolex. You like it. I think
Uganda
we have the
Rolex.
best. Yes.
Oh yeah.
I think we have the best Rolex in the world. That's what I can say. Yeah, this Rolex is made out of the, how they call them, because
Egg omelette and chapati.
Egg, chapati. Sometimes they put tomatoes, they put onions. Sometimes they can put some spices like pepper. But yes, depending on your choice.
True.
But we have the best Rolex. Another thing, Uganda is known for its food, which is called matoke. And matoke, that is the local language. In English, it is called banana. How we eat it, it is mashed banana. It is the best food I can say. And it is more of the cultural food in the central, western part of the country. Like we talked about, Uganda has been the superior kingdom in the country. So even this food, it is their culture food. Then even the western is also culture food, I can say, to some parts of the western side. Now it is even spreading all over the country. So wherever you go in Uganda, ask for matoke. You will enjoy the best matoke in the world.
So that reminds me, even in India, we have traditional puja. What's this kind of thing? Satyanarayan puja. So banana is a must as a prasad in that puja. So that shows how historical and cultural similarity we have, even if we are separated by distance, but still we have a lot of cultural similarity.
That's why I come to a conclusion. At one time, this world was one.
Exactly.
Yes, because you can imagine, they also have matoke. So which means at one time, we are in one continent.
Uganda is the leading country in Africa with the very high number of women-led enterprises, businesses and companies. So this was again very interesting for us, and because we already just discussed that Uganda is a very young country, around 78% of people under 35. So many number of women entrepreneurs and businessmen. So what is your first-hand experience? What is the overall status of women in
yes,
Uganda?
That's so interesting. Like you have mentioned, entrepreneurship and business. These days, I think the Ugandan economy is highly driven by women participation in business.
True.
Let me talk about this. Because sometime I was talking to Charles, when you observe Indian market, that's what I can say, most of the men are in the market selling.
True.
But when you go to Uganda, they are the women in these markets. Men they can be in big shops. But even big shops, we have women participating there. So, and when you look at the economic development, for the economy to grow, it's not these big shops that bring about the growth of the economy. The local people, the local markets we have at the local scale, they are the ones responsible. They contribute more than 80% of the country's GDP. So, Ugandan women are highly involved in the local markets or local businesses, selling local food, doing everything at the local scale. That is one way. And when you look at the women these days, because our country, even our president, always emphasizes women empowerment.
True.
Yeah, it is. There's many initiatives bringing about women empowerment through education, promoting girl-child education. Look at me, I wouldn't be here.
Yeah,
So,
very true.
I'm in India because of education and promoting women education in my country. So also this one begins at primary level, like encouraging the girls to stay in schools.
True.
They go through secondary level to the universities. When they become independent, even women can do what men can do. Look at the parliamentary committees or parliamentary participation. Many women are coming up to participate in parliament. Like when you look at our country, the structure for parliament, at least every county, right? Yes, for every county there is a woman representative.
Wow.
And that one is a woman, of course. So this one increases the women participation in the country's activities. The speaker. Yes, yeah, that's great. Yeah, the speaker of parliament is a woman, by the way. And by the way, I've forgotten. Oh, my prime minister. You know, the prime minister is from my district.
Wow.
You know? Yes, the next to the president, and even we have the vice president is also a woman. This is so interesting. So when you talk about women empowerment in Uganda, I think we are at a different scale. Yes, and I applause for that.
Yeah, very interesting. And
Yes.
one thing that is my personal observation, it might be totally incorrect also, but what I have seen is when the head of the state is a woman, or when women find good representation in government, the civil wars are less. There is a peace relatively. So there are a lot of advantages when women members are there in governance and
most even in fighting corruption. Many people will be able to access the services. Yes.
Yeah, so I mean, see, biologically, 50% of any society is women. So I mean, it is very natural, and I mean, it is their right that they should get due representation at all levels.
Yes.
So I mean, that was really very deep insights on the status of women in Uganda.